My daughter-in-law's family lost their house and moved into mine, but after 2 weeks they kicked me out. Here's what I did. My name is Hope Martinez. I'm 62 years old, and I've lived in the same house in East LA for the past 40 years. After my husband Carlos died in a construction accident when I was only 35, I worked as a seamstress in the garment district to raise my 3 kids. With these calloused hands and pure determination, I paid for every square foot of my 1,200 square foot house, a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom home that became my pride and joy. I never imagined that my own daughter-in-law's family would kick me out of my own house like I was some unwanted tenant. But that's exactly what happened, and what I did about it still gives me satisfaction today. Let me tell you the whole story. My life before the nightmare. Before I tell you about this hell I went through, let me paint you a picture of who I am. I'm a hard-working woman, a Catholic who goes to Mass every Sunday at St. Agnes. My neighbors in this tight-knit Latino community have respected me for 4 decades because I've never caused trouble for anyone. My comadre Lupita, who lives across the street, always says I'm one of the good ones, someone you can trust. My house is my sanctuary. 2 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, a living room, kitchen, and a backyard where I grow my roses, geraniums and herbs, cilantro, mint, and even a lemon tree that produces the sweetest lemons in the neighborhood. I bought my dining room set on layaway when my youngest son Roberto made his first communion. My living room furniture is second-hand but pristine. I had it reupholstered with burgundy fabric that matches the curtains I sewed by hand. Every piece of furniture tells a story. At that kitchen table, my 3 children ate breakfast every morning of their childhood. In that living room, we watched telenovelas together when they were small. In that backyard, they played soccer and learned to ride bikes. Every corner of that house is filled with my life, my history, my love. My daughter-in-law's family. My youngest son Roberto married Sofia Valdez 5 years ago. She worked as a nurse at Kaiser Permanente and seemed like a good match for my boy at first. She was polite, hard-working, and clearly loved my son. But her family? That was another story entirely. Her father, Aurelio Valdez, worked as a supervisor at an auto parts factory. Her mother, Carmen, was a stay-at-home mom who constantly bragged about her business degree from some for-profit college. Sofia's sister, Brenda, was 28 and worked as a Zumba instructor at a gym, but acted like she was some fitness influencer with her 1,000 Instagram followers. The brother, Kevin, yes, that's really his name, was 25 and worked at a call center, but acted like he was management. They lived in a rental in a newer development in Riverside, Midas, one of those cookie-cutter communities where everything looks the same. They were always showing off their cars, a leased Nissan Altima and a used Honda Civic, their annual trips to Vegas, and their lifestyle, which they claimed was so different from traditional families like mine. From day one, I could tell they looked down on me. At the few family gatherings they bothered to attend, Carmen always had comments about my house. "Oh, Hope, you have such a cozy little place. So authentic." Or about my cooking. "Everything's delicious, but we don't eat much fried food anymore, for health reasons, you know." But my son was in love, and I didn't want to cause problems. I figured things would improve with time. The crisis that changed everything. Everything started in late September when wildfires swept through Riverside County. For 3 days, smoke filled the air and evacuation orders went out for several communities. One of them was the development where Sofia's family lived. Wednesday evening, while I was watching the news coverage, my phone rang. It was Sofia, crying hysterically. "Mom, Hope, we lost everything. The whole neighborhood burned down. We have nothing left." "Oh my God, Is everyone okay? Yes, we're all safe, but we have nowhere to go. The Red Cross shelters are full, and we can't afford hotels for weeks. Do you think, could we stay with you for a few days until we find somewhere else? Roberto said you have an extra bedroom. My heart couldn't say no. I'm a Christian woman, raised to help others in their time of need. Of course, Mia. Come over. I have the spare bedroom, and Roberto can sleep on the couch until you get back on your feet. Oh, Mom Hope, God bless you. We'll be there soon. It's my parents, my sister with her 2 kids, my brother with his wife, and my grandma Celia. Is that okay? 8 people. She hadn't mentioned that part. But what could I say? Yes, Mia, we'll make it work. Come on over. I had no idea that decision would turn my life into a living hell. The invasion begins. Around 7 p.m. they arrived. But they didn't come like humble fire victims. They came like they were moving in permanently. 3 cars pulled up. Aurelio's Altima, Kevin's Civic, and a borrowed pickup truck, loaded with suitcases, boxes, and even an air mattress. They started unloading like they were planning to stay for months. Did all this survive the fire? I asked, confused by the amount of stuff. Oh no, Mom Hope, Brenda said, while hauling out a huge suitcase. We bought all this today at Target, just the essentials to get by. Essentials? I saw small TVs, a new blender, even a plastic dresser. We can't live without our things, Carmen explained as she walked into my living room like she owned it. We're used to a certain standard of living. My son Roberto was helping carry things, but I could tell he was surprised by all the luggage too. Mom, you sure this is going to be okay? It's a lot of people, he whispered to me. Don't worry, mijo. It's just for a few days. How naive I was. The first clashes. From the very first night, I knew this wasn't going to be easy. Grandma Celia, who was 78, immediately claimed my husband's old recliner. Oh, this chair is so comfortable. My bones aren't what they used to be, she said, settling in with my TV remote. Grandma, that's Mrs. Hope's chair, Sophia said gently. Oh, honey, while we're here, we're all family. Right, Hope. What was I supposed to say? She was a 78-year-old woman, but it bothered me that she just took over my late husband's chair without asking. Brenda's kids, Brandon and Diana, yes, those are their real names, started running through my house like it was a playground, jumping on my couch, screaming, turning lights on and off. Aren't you going to control them? I asked Brenda. Oh, Mom Hope, they're just processing the trauma. Kids need to express themselves when they're stressed. Express themselves? In my house. By dinner time, I had my first real conflict. I'd made chicken soup, Spanish rice, and fresh tortillas, Nof comfort food that I'd been making for 40 years. What's this red stuff? Brandon asked, poking at the rice. It's Spanish rice, sweetheart, I told him. I don't like it. It's spicy. It's not spicy, just seasoned with tomato and spices. Mom, I don't want this, he whined to Brenda. Brenda gave me a look like I'd personally offended her child. Do you have something simpler for the kids? Maybe some plain pasta? Simple? I'd spent 3 hours cooking. This is what we're having. If they don't like it, I can make them a peanut butter sandwich. Oh, don't worry about it, Mom Hope. The kids can just have cereal. Cereal? For dinner. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst was when Aurelio tasted my soup. It's very flavorful, isn't it, Carmen? We're more used to lighter cuisine these days. Lighter cuisine? It was chicken soup. At our house, Carmen continued, we usually eat more Mediterranean style, grilled fish, salads, things like that. Mediterranean. They lived in a tract house in Riverside. That night, while I was washing dishes, I overheard the family talking in the living room. "Poor Roberto," Brenda was saying, "living with this heavy food every day." "She's very old school," Kevin replied. "Very traditional." Traditional. Like it was an insult. Week 2, the takeover. By the second week, things were completely out of control. The family had taken over my entire house. Carmen had completely reorganized my kitchen. My dishes, which had been in the same places for 40 years, were now wherever she thought was more efficient. "I thought you'd appreciate it, Hope. You had everything so cramped. This way is much more functional." My dishes. In my kitchen. "Why didn't you ask me before moving my things?" "Oh, I thought you'd be happy. I was very organized in my own home." Brenda had turned my dining room into her personal gym. Every morning at 6 a.m. she'd blast music and do her Zumba routine, moving my chairs around and dancing like a maniac. "Can't you do that in the backyard?" I asked. "The floor is better in here and I need the space." Morning exercise is super important for starting the day with positive energy. Kevin had commandeered my TV. From the moment he got home from work, he controlled the remote, watching sports, action movies or cartoons I didn't understand. "Kevin, can I have the remote? I want to watch my show." "Oh, come on, Hope. The Lakers game is on. Can't you watch your soap opera in your room?" In my room? The living room TV was mine. But what hurt most was when Aurelio started having his work buddies over to my house. They'd hang out in my backyard, drinking beer and smoking until late at night. "Aurelio, could you ask them not to smoke here? The smoke comes into the house." "Hope, don't be dramatic. It's just a few cigarettes. My friends need to unwind after work." "But I'm allergic to smoke." "Just close the windows then." Close the windows of my house for his guests. The final straw was when I came home from grocery shopping and found a strange woman cleaning my house. "Who are you?" I asked. "I'm Maria. Mrs. Carmen hired me to do the cleaning." "Carmen hired a maid for my house." "Carmen!" I yelled. Carmen emerged from my bedroom, where she'd been organizing clothes in my closet. "Yes, Hope. Who gave you permission to hire a maid in my house?" "Oh, don't be upset. With so many people here, the house gets messier. I thought you'd appreciate the help." "And who's paying this woman?" "We'll all chip in. It benefits everyone." "Everyone. In my house, including my money." "I don't want a maid in my house." "Hope, don't be like that. The house needs a deep clean. When's the last time you mopped under the furniture?" Was she calling me a slob in my own house? The ultimate betrayal. Things reached a breaking point when they decided to improve my house without asking me. One Saturday, I left early for 7 a.m. Mass, like I do every Saturday. When I returned at 9 a.m., there was a moving truck outside my house and several workers carrying in furniture. "What's happening here?" I shouted. Aurelio came out with a big smile, like he was about to give me good news. "Hope, perfect timing. We have a surprise for you." I walked into my house and nearly had a heart attack. They had moved all my furniture. My living room set was stacked in the backyard under tarps. In its place was a grey sectional sofa I'd never seen before. "Where did this furniture come from?" "We bought it," Carmen said proudly. "Your old set was getting worn out. With all the use, it was looking shabby." "Worn out? It was good quality, and I'd had it reupholstered just 2 years ago." "And who gave you permission to move my things?" "Oh, Hope, don't be like that. We did it for everyone's benefit. This sofa is more comfortable and modern. But that wasn't all. In my dining room, they'd put a glass table with plastic chairs. Where's my dining set? We put it in the garage, Kevin said. This table is more practical for the kids. My dining set, the one I'd bought with so much sacrifice, stored in the garage like junk. Get all this stuff out of my house. Put my furniture back where it belongs. Hope Aurelio said in that condescending voice I'd grown to hate. We understand change is hard, but this furniture is more functional for a large family. This isn't a large family. This is my house and your guests. Well, technically yes, Carmen said, but while we're here, we need it to work for everyone. Just then, my son Roberto came home from his night shift. Instead of defending me, he looked at me like I was the crazy one. What's wrong, Mom? Why are you yelling? Roberto. They moved all my furniture without asking me. Mum, calm down. The new furniture looks nice. I don't care how it looks. It's my furniture, my house. Hope, Carmen interrupted with her victim voice. We were just trying to help. The house needed updating. My own son looked at me with disappointment. Mom, Sophia's family lost everything in the fire, and you're being really selfish. Selfish? In my own house? That day I cried in my bedroom like I hadn't cried since the day my husband died. My son's betrayal. Things got worse when my son started siding with his in-laws on everything. Every complaint I had, he minimized. Mom, they're just details. Mom, they lost everything. Be patient. Mom, they're family now. One night, after 2.5 weeks of hell, I decided to have a serious talk with my son. Roberto, we need to talk. About what, Mom? About this situation. I can't take it anymore. I explained everything, how they'd moved my things, how they treated me like a servant in my own house, how they'd changed my routine, my customs, my entire life. You don't understand, Mom. They're going through a really difficult time. And what about me? Don't I matter? Of course you matter, but you have your house, your stability. They lost everything. Roberto, they kicked me out of my own bedroom. Your mother-in-law is sleeping in my bed. It's temporary, Mom. It's been 2.5 weeks. A few more weeks and they'll find something. But then he said something that broke my heart. Besides, Mom, Sophia told me you've been treating them really badly, that you keep reminding them it's your house. Because it is my house. Mom, that attitude isn't right. They're family. I couldn't believe my own son, whom I'd raised with so much love, was scolding me for defending my house. You know what, Roberto? Your father must be rolling in his grave, seeing how you defend strangers instead of your mother. Don't say that, Mom. You know I love you, but I also have to think about my wife and her family. Well, think carefully, because if things continue like this, you'll have to find another place to think. My son left very angry that night, but I had already made a decision. The final straw. Sunday, after exactly 3 weeks of hell, I decided to make one last effort to restore harmony in my house. It was the Lord's Day, and I thought cooking something special for the whole family might improve things. I got up at 5 a.m. and started making my grandmother's recipe for chile rellenos from scratch. Roasting peppers, making the batter, preparing the sauce. 5 hours of pure work, with love and dedication. I also made Spanish rice, refried beans, and fresh tortillas. A Sunday meal like the ones I used to make when my children were small. At 2 p.m., when everything was ready, I set the table with my embroidered tablecloth, my good dishes, and even lit some candles. Dinner's ready, I called out. The whole family came down, Aurelio, Carmen, Brenda with her kids, Kevin with his pregnant wife, Grandma Celia, my son and daughter-in-law. When they saw the table, the reactions weren't what I expected. What's that smell?" Brenda said, covering her nose. "Chile rellenos again," Kevin asked. "Don't we have anything normal?" Carmen wrinkled her face like she'd smelled something rotten. "Hope, don't you have something lighter? The kids won't be able to eat anything this spicy." "It's chile rellenos," I said, trying to stay calm. "A traditional Mexican dish." "Yes, but we're used to more international food," Aurelio said. "Don't you have some spaghetti, or maybe we could order pizza?" "Pizza? On Sunday? Instead of chile rellenos?" "This is what we're having," I said. "If you don't like it, you can make something else." "Oh, Mom, Hope," Sophia said, trying to calm things down. "It looks delicious, but the kids can have beans and tortillas if they don't want chile rellenos." "I don't want beans," Brandon screamed. "They're gross." "Me neither," Diana yelled. "I want pizza." At that moment, Carmen stood up from the table and said the words I'll never forget. "Hope, I think we need to have a serious talk." The day they kicked me out, the whole family stared at me like I was the defendant in a trial. "What do you want to talk about?" I asked, though I feared the worst. Aurelio cleared his throat, like he was about to give an important speech. "Hope, we've been talking as a family and we think this situation isn't working for anyone anymore." "What situation?" "Your attitude toward us has been very hostile since we arrived," Carmen said in her professional victim voice. "The kids feel uncomfortable, I'm very stressed, and the whole family is tense." "My attitude? I took you into my house when you lost everything." "Yes, and we're very grateful," Aurelio continued, "but the way you've been treating us has been very unpleasant." "Unpleasant? How?" "You keep reminding us that it's your house," Brenda said. "Like we're just some freeloaders." "Like we're not wanted here," Kevin added. "Because you are freeloaders," I exploded. "I took you in out of Christian charity and you've taken over my house." "See?" Carmen said to my son. "See how she treats us." Roberto looked at me with a mixture of disappointment and shame. "Mom, please." "Don't Mom please me. These people moved my furniture, changed my routine, kicked me out of my bedroom, and now they're telling me I'm unpleasant." "Hope," Aurelio said in that condescending voice I'd grown to hate, "we understand it's hard to share your space, but we have rights too." "What rights?" "In my house." "The rights that come with being family," Carmen replied. "You're not my family." The silence that followed was terrible. Even the kids went quiet. Then Carmen, with crocodile tears in her eyes, dropped the bomb. "Hope, we think it would be better for everyone if you went to stay with a relative for a while, until things cool down." Was she telling me to leave my house? "Are you completely insane?" "We can take care of the house while you're gone," Aurelio continued, "so it doesn't stay empty. This is my house. I have the deed." "Mom," my son said, and those words broke my soul, "maybe it would be good if you went to stay with Aunt Rosa for a few days, so we can all calm down." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My own son, my flesh and blood, was kicking me out of my house to please his in-laws. "Roberto, how can you do this to me? I can't handle any more problems, Mom. There's tension all the time because of your attitude." "Because of my attitude in my house?" "Yes, Mom, because of your attitude. You haven't known how to welcome my wife's family." "I don't have to welcome anyone." I helped them out of kindness, and look how they repay me. If you can't be nice to us, Carmen said, drying her fake tears, then maybe we should all leave. Leave. Nobody's stopping you. But then Roberto and Sofia come with us, Aurelio said. After all, they need to be in a peaceful environment too. The threat was crystal clear. Either I left or they took my son with them. Is this for real, Roberto? Are you going to choose me or them? My son looked at me with watery eyes. Mom, don't make me choose. Just go away for a few days. When you come back, everything will be calmer. And if I don't go, then we leave, Aurelio repeated. And Roberto comes with us. With my heart in pieces, with no other options, I went upstairs to pack my suitcase. While I packed my clothes, I could hear the family talking downstairs. It was about time, Brenda was saying. This house is too nice to leave in the hands of a bitter old lady. Hopefully she won't come back soon. Kevin replied. That way we can fix up the house properly. Poor Roberto, Carmen said. His whole life putting up with that woman. At 6 p.m., with a suitcase and a broken heart, I left my house and headed to my sister Rosa's house in Montebello. Before leaving, I told my son, Roberto, what you're doing to me today, I'll never forgive you for. Mom, it's just a few days. You'll see that everything will work out. No, son. There are things that don't work out. And what you did to me today is one of those things. The complete humiliation. My sister Rosa welcomed me with open arms, but I couldn't stop crying. That first night I couldn't sleep at all. I spent it thinking about how I'd been so stupid, so naive, so foolish. Hope, Rosa told me the next day, why don't you talk to a lawyer? What they did to you isn't right. What's the point? My own son is on their side. But it's your house. You have rights. What good are rights if my own son betrayed me? But Rosa was right. During that first week at her house, I spent my time crying and feeling sorry for myself. Rosa comforted me as best she could, but I didn't understand how I'd ended up in such a humiliating situation. My son called me every third day with short, cold messages. How are you, Mum? Everyone's doing well here. Everyone? In my house. When can I come back, Roberto? Not yet, Mom. Things are still tense. Give it time. Time. For what? For them to completely take over my property. My comadre Lupita visited me every day to tell me what was happening at my house, and each piece of news was worse than the last. Hope. They painted the front of the house beige. It's no longer white like you had it. They painted my house. Yes, and a truck also came with more furniture. It looks like they're settling in for a long time. On Friday of that week, Lupita came with the news that completely broke my heart. Comadre, I saw them put up a new fence in the backyard, and they cut down your lemon tree. My lemon tree, the one my husband had planted when Roberto was born, 30 years producing the sweetest lemons in the neighborhood. Why did they cut it down? Carmen told the workers it was in the way of a new patio cover they wanted to put up. A patio cover in my backyard. That night, I called my son, furious. Roberto, why did they cut down my lemon tree? Mom, it was old. The roots were damaging the plumbing. That's a lie. That tree was perfect. Besides, the space was needed for other things. What other things? Well, improvements to the house. It's my house, Roberto. My improvements. Mom, please don't yell. The neighbors will hear you. I don't care if they hear me. I want those people out of my house now. It can't be, Mom. They still haven't found a place. Then let them look harder. Mom, understand, these are difficult times for everyone. But I already knew my son was lost. They had poisoned him against me. The horrible discovery. On Saturday of the second week, I decided to go to my house to get more clothes. I thought that since it was early, I could get in, take my things, and leave without problems. I arrived at 8 a.m. What I saw left me frozen with shock. My house no longer looked like my house. They had painted it beige, with brown trim. The windows had new curtains. In the backyard there was a new patio cover where my lemon tree used to be. They had even planted different plants, palm trees and cacti instead of my geraniums. I tried to open the door with my keys, but they didn't work. They had changed the locks. I rang the doorbell and Carmen came out in a robe and my slippers. "Oh, Hope, you scared me. I thought you were going to let us know before coming." "I don't need to let anyone know to enter my house." "Well, technically it is your house. But while we're living here, we need some privacy." "Privacy? In my house? Why did you change the locks?" "It's for security. With so many people coming and going." "I'm the owner of the house." "Yes, but Roberto has the keys now. He can give you copies later." "My son had my keys." "Where is Roberto?" "He went out to breakfast with Sophia. They said they'd be back in the afternoon." I went into my house and almost had a heart attack. They had moved everything. My dining set wasn't even in the garage anymore. In its place they had put a bigger glass table. The kitchen had new appliances, refrigerator, microwave, blender, even an Italian coffee maker. "Where did all these things come from?" "We bought them. Yours were getting old." "My appliances worked perfectly." "Yes, but these are more modern, more efficient." I went upstairs to check the bedrooms and wanted to die. In my bedroom, the master bedroom, Aurelio and Carmen were sleeping. My bed had new sheets, there was a new TV, and on my dresser were Carmen's perfumes and cosmetics. "Why are you sleeping in my bedroom?" "It's the biggest and most comfortable. At our age, we need space." "But it's my bedroom." "Hope, don't be selfish. We're older than Roberto and Sophia. They can sleep in any room." In the room where my son and daughter-in-law had been sleeping, Kevin and his wife were now staying. In the other bedrooms were Brenda with her kids and Grandma Celia. "Where are Roberto and Sophia going to sleep when I come back?" "Well, we'll see. Maybe in the living room." "In the living room?" My son was going to sleep in the living room of his house? But the worst was yet to come. I went down to the backyard and saw they had built a new little room. "What's that?" "An extra room, in case more family comes." "More family?" "Yes, Aurelio's brother also lost his job. He might need to stay for a few days." "More people? In my house? And who paid for that construction?" "Well, everyone chipped in. Roberto contributed his part. With my money, with the money my son earned working." "Hope," Carmen told me with that fake voice I knew so well, "aren't you happy to see how your house is improving? Now it really looks like a decent family's home." Decent family? What was I then? "I want to talk to my son." "I already told you he's not here, but you can wait for him if you want. Just don't make a scene because the neighbors will think badly." "The neighbors? My neighbors of 40 years, who knew and respected me. What have you told them about me?" "The truth, that you're a very difficult lady, that you couldn't adapt to living with family." "Difficult? In my house?" I left there shaking with rage, but not with fear, with pure anger. The legal consultation. That same afternoon I went to see Attorney Morales, the lawyer who had helped me with the paperwork when my husband died. His office was downtown, near City Hall, in an old but respectable building. Attorney Morales, they invaded my house. I told him the whole story from the beginning, the fire, how I took them in out of charity, how they gradually took over my house, how they kicked me out, and everything they had done in my absence. The attorney listened, taking notes. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and smiled. Mrs. Martinez, what they did to you has a name. What? Unlawful detainer, trespassing, and property damage. All of those are serious offenses. Serious offenses. Does that mean they could go to jail? Absolutely. But first we're going to try to resolve this the right way. How? Do you have the deed to the house? Of course. It's in my house. Where exactly? In my bedroom, in the dresser, in a red folder. Do you have copies? Yes, in my safety deposit box at the bank. Perfect. Any rental agreement or contract with this family? Of course not. I took them in out of charity. Witnesses that you lent them the house temporarily. My sister Rosa was present when I talked to Sofia on the phone. My comadre Lupita also heard the conversation. Excellent. Do you have photos of how your house was before? Yes, many, on my phone and computer. And how it is now? My comadre Lupita has been taking photos. The attorney rubbed his hands together. Mrs. Martinez, we have a very strong case. What they're doing is aggravated trespassing. Aggravated. Yes, because they modified the property without authorization, changed locks, and are preventing you, the legitimate owner, from accessing your property. And what can we do? Several things. First, we're going to go with a notary public, and we're going to make a legal demand. We're going to give them 24 hours to vacate. And if they don't leave, then we file a lawsuit for unlawful detainer with the district attorney's office. With the evidence we have, they'll go straight to jail. Jail? I wasn't expecting that. Can they really go to prison? Mrs. Martinez, unlawful detainer, carries a penalty of 6 months to 3 years in prison. And if it's proven there was moral violence, as in your case, it can go up to 5 years. Moral violence. Of course. They intimidated you, manipulated you psychologically, forced you to leave your own house. That's moral violence. For the first time in weeks, I felt hope. How much is this going to cost me? Since you're an elderly woman who's been abused, I'll only charge you expenses, $2,000 for the whole process. When do we start? Right now. Let's go to the bank to get copies of your deed. Preparing for revenge. Monday morning, Attorney Morales and I went to the county recorder's office to get certified copies of my house deed. Then we went to a notary public to prepare the legal demand. Mrs. Martinez, the attorney explained, we're going to do this step by step. First, the notarized demand. If they don't comply, then we file the criminal complaint. What about my son? Are we going to sue him too? Your son is living in his own mother's house with his wife. The problem is the others, but if your son opposes the eviction, he could also be charged with harboring. That afternoon I called my comadre Lupita to ask her for a favor. Comadre, I need you to go to my house and take pictures of everything, especially the changes they made. What for, Hope? To sue them. Really? Are you really going to sue them? I already talked to a lawyer. What they did to me is a crime.